today when I was attending all the sessions. It certainly added a lot of knowledge to my content. That is for sure. So let's begin with what we are here gathered today, the gamification part. So when we thought about Gamifix 365, it was all about revitalizing the Dynamics 365 CRM operations with fun games and activities. So my name is Ninat, and I'm the business development manager for Inogic. Now, speaking of Inogic, we are a leading service provider and an ISV. Okay. Uh, for past more than a decade, and we have exclusive Dynamics 365 products. We are very much active in the Dynamics 365 community, and our blogs are not only extremely popular, but also appreciated by the community. We truly believe in the philosophy of one-click solution, which is basically building all the productivity apps that reduces multiple steps which otherwise a CRM user have to take. Now, as you can see on the slide, we have various applications on the offering. However, I would like to just take a quick moment and briefly describe a couple of them. So first is Mathletics. It's a flagship product. It is certified for Microsoft Dynamics 365, and it helps businesses around the world to plot, plan, visualize, and analyze Dynamics CRM data on a map. And it offers seamless mapping services. One of my favorite app from the bouquet is the subscription and recurring billing management. The subscription and recurring billing management provides a robust platform for all the subscription-based businesses to seamlessly manage, streamline subscription and recurring billing processes right here within Dynamics 365 CRM. Apart from developing these applications, we are also an SI. So in case if you have any requirements, I would request you to get in touch with us on crm@inogic.com. So moving ahead, let's see what's in store for us today. So today we'll be talking about impact of gamification. Uh, our new app, the gamification app, the Gamifix 365, a small yet effective live demonstration and followed by the Q&A session. All work, no play makes work life boring. And when work life becomes boring, then there is a minimum productivity. But with engaging games and activities, daily routine work life can be made exciting and entertaining. A perfectly gamified CRM can be used to engage and motivate the users to give their best every day. So, moving to the impact of the gamifications. So, hundreds of surveys have been conducted, and they came out with a lot of numbers stating 60% of the employees engagement increases with the gamification. 90% of the employees says that gamification makes them more and more productive at work. So games motivates and encourages individuals to do their best. So it's no surprise that around the world, 70% of the global 2000 companies have actually adopted gamification elements in their workplace to improve productivity of their workforces. In the world of dynamics as well, as the competition gets tougher, companies are ready to adopt out of box solutions to stay ahead of their competitors. And gamification is one such concept which has a huge potential to improve the productivity rate and the rate of returns for the organizations. So, in a nutshell, the impact of gamification can be increased productivity, enhanced user engagement, increased job satisfaction, and above all, increased efficiency of the organizations itself. With that, Inogic is proud to present the user gamification module in a new avatar named Gamifix 365. Some of the key benefits of gamifying your Dynamics 365 CRM using our Gamifix 365 solutions are, let's say, make CRM daily routine work fun for the users. Like I mentioned, a perfectly gamified CRM can be used to engage and motivate the users to give their best every day. It also results in rapid development of skill sets. Games encourages people to achieve over and beyond their individual capacity. The awards, the recognitions on achieving the targets propels the CRM users to perform their best. And the most important benefit would be encourage team building. Now, when I heard about this for the first time, even I got confused. How can gamification help us in encouraging team building? So, for organizations to function smoothly, there should be a good rapport between all the team members. With Gamifix 365, we have the team games. Now, the team games will encourage the individuals to share their best practices with each other to achieve the common target. Now, this inevitably leads to higher productivity, and above all, team games encourage bonding between team members. Now, when I go through the live demonstration, I'll also give you a detailed presentation about something called as fantasy games. But we all know fantasy games has taken the world by the storm. And our solution also supports the fantasy teams wherein the users who are actually not participating in the game can create their own fantasy teams and thereby motivate the players who are actually playing the game. And that's where the team building activity takes place. Now, let's take a quick peek at some of the key features offered by the Gamifix 365. The first and the foremost, the games. With Gamifix 365, we can create different type of engaging games like challenges, face-off, and race between the CRM users. Another key feature is the game rules. Every game, every game must be played within the rules. Yes, we want the users to win, but the game needs to be played by the rules, right? With game rules, the administrator can set rules and conditions for the games to be played on whether it's an individual level or even the team level. To boost the confidence and to provide that extra bit of inspiration, bestow badges and rewards to motivate the players that will eventually translate to achieving the organizational goals. With Gamifix 365, we can also view the player performance on the real time through personalized Gamifix 365 scoreboards and leaderboards. And it doesn't end here. We also have a mobile app. Enable all the players to join the game, and every player can track their own performances through the mobile app itself. Now, with that being said, let's see the Gamifix 365 in action. So for today's purpose, I have already installed the Gamifix 365 and configured it with a few games and some game rules. So right here, when I installed and configured the Gamifix 365, let's see what happens with the under the administration tab. You may find the Gamifix 365 Studio. With Gamifix 365 Studio, I can see all the games, the game rules. Now, these can be used to create, edit the game rules and the games. Let us see when we talk about the games. So let me just go to the games tab. And here we have four games which are actually being played right now. So how did I come to know? It's because of the status reasons. All the games are currently in progress. So let's look at the game one by one so that you can get a gist of what Gamifix 365 can achieve. So the first game, the account magnet. So as probably the name might suggest, it will create it will just award the points to the users who are creating accounts on a successful account entity records. So with that being said, let me just go back and let me talk about the other games, the cold call warriors. I think the name itself is a self-explanatory part wherein we can give this game is basically a challenge between all the users who are making the number of cold calls. Now, this is where you might have started to even imagine the impact of gamification. The more number of cold calls will result probably in more number of leads, and the more number of leads can then be qualified, and then the salespersons can take over and bring in a huge amount of business. Now, the beauty of Gamifix 365 is we can apply the games at every level. One of the key features of Gamifix 365 is something what we call as the games which are applied at different levels. The one of the games that we saw was Cold Call Warriors. However, we also have a game called as Lead Qualifier Championship. So once the leads are present in the system, and if another team who is taking care of qualifying the leads, if we can run a game for them, and this game will then measure and award the points to the user who actually qualifies the leads which are present in the CRM system. This can be taken to the next level even when we say that whether the lead has been qualified once and the prospect has been created, whether the quotes has been generated, how many quotes were actually then converted into the work orders, and so on. So at every level the games can be applied, and thereby ensuring the team bonding as well. So let's look at one of the games that I wanted to demonstrate, the Cold Call Warriors. So for simplicity, I have also opened a blank game so that we can check side by side what all things can be allowed with the Cold Call Warriors game. So let's see some of the key features that we have set up. So once we go ahead as an administrator, when I want to go ahead and when I want to set up a game, the first thing that we need to define is the start date and the end date itself. So once we have defined the start and the end date, the next is the type of the game itself. So right now, since the game is actually running, I'm not able to change any values. And this is the reason I have also opened a new tab wherein we can see what all are the different types of the games that are supported by Gamifix 365. So there are basically three types of the game that are supported by Gamifix 365. The first one is the challenge. The second is the face off, and the third is the race. Now, the challenge and the race are pretty much similar. Only difference would be once I select a particular game as a race, this is a race also has a target. So whichever the user, whichever the user achieves the target first becomes the player, becomes the winner. However, if I make it as a challenge, it's just an ongoing game between the start and the end date that are defined. And by the once the game ends on the end date which is specified, whichever user has the maximum points will be declared as the winner. Another thing is the face off. The face off is basically just a game that can be run that can be competed between only two users. So just when we want to have number one out of a couple of users, that's when the face off comes into the picture. Now, once let's say I'm selecting challenge over here, and I am now saying the game is in between. Now this opens a new altogether new box because the game can be played between fantasy teams, the teams, or the normal users. Now the fantasy team, like I mentioned, has taken the world by the storm, and we have tried to replicate the same fun within the CRM. So let's assume there is a race going between multiple users of the sales team. Now, these sales team members are moving mountains to achieve and probably overachieve their target. So the fun lies within the sales team. Every sales team member might be checking their ranking, their points on a weekly, daily, or even hourly basis. But what about the other teams which are working in the organization? The accounts team, for example, might be missing all the fun, or the operations team might be missing all the fun. No worries. Fantasy team is their key to the fun. With fantasy teams, any non-participating CRM user can create their own teams with the players they think are the best. And even non-participating users can enjoy the fun of the games. What's more interesting is that even the non-participating user can motivate the participating user to push their limits, because the non-participating user will win only when their fantasy team wins. That's the power of gamification. Uh, some time back, I had mentioned the key benefit as encourage team bonding. One of the classic examples of the team bonding. Let me show you real time back with the game over here. So let me show you one of the games that we have designed, which is the hunting lead game. Now with hunting lead, if you just observe over here, the game is in between fantasy teams. So let me just open up this game and let me show the players who are present in the hunting lead. So these are the two players, the users, Alex and Louis, who are actually playing the hunting lead game. Now, since this is a fantasy teams, let me just hit over here. And this is the team that has been selected by Alex. So as we can see, there are a lot of players who have already started earning points. However, there are a couple of users, Barry and Billy, who are yet to start opening their accounts when it comes to points. So a classic example would be Alex might just go across Barry and he might just motivate him. Ki, hey Barry, listen, you are in my team and I want my team to win. Is there anything I can help you to do to increase the total number of points? Now that would be the ideal situation for any top management wherein the team combiningly, whether I'm participating or not participating, I am directly or indirectly helping the organization achieve its goals. So let's go back to where we were talking about. So once we decide who is the between which players the game is going to be played, one of them is fantasy teams, or you can create the real teams as well. And so another example of teams would be like if I have got sales teams who are working in different regions. So I have a sales team for APAC region, let's say Asia Pacific region. I have a sales team which takes care of North America and so on. So we can create a couple of teams and then the game can be played between those teams. And finally, of course, the game can be played between individual users. Fine. So let's see what's next for us, the behavior of the game. So who can join this particular game? Now, the next attribute, which is basically the behavior of the game, takes one of the couple of values, which is either private or the public. So if I set the behavior of the game to public, the CRM user, if he has the roles which we'll specify in the next attribute, will be able to join the game voluntarily. So if he opens his mobile app, he sees that hey, there's one more game that is going on and it's allowed because I have the necessary security roles, and he can join in that particular game. However, if I set the behavior of the game to private, then the administrator or the creator of this game has to go under the tab of players and then add the players manually between whom he intends the game to be played. The last one would be allow players to join the game if the game is in progress. So this comes in handy in situations like, let's say if the game is about achieving the sales target and the game has already begun, and me as a business development guy, I come into the picture a couple of days late. I might be on a leave, and once I come back, I say, hey, there's a game that's going on and I personally am confident of achieving the target. Then if the game has already begun and if the flag is set to yes, then I can join that particular game. However, if this flag is set to no, once the game begins, then the other users can't join the game. Let me just show one of the race part, because this is, if I select the type of the game as race, this target comes in handy. The target is the end score basically that the user needs to achieve for winning that particular game. So once we set all these values, all we need to do is just hit on save, and then we can move to the next tab, which is the game rules. So let me first of all quickly set up all these values. And let's say I want to want this, and I want to keep it as public, and I'll just change this to challenge. Now, if you want anyone to join the game, just keep the allowed roles as completely blank. However, if you're specific that this game should be played among users who has certain roles, so security roles associated, we can select the security roles over here. And I say I don't want any user to miss the bus, so I'll just select this to yes, and let me hit on save over here. The game is in between. Oops, let's say the game is in between users, and let me go ahead and hit on save. So once the game has been set, the next point is where we need to set the game rules. So under the game rules, so let me just go back to my original game and let's see what are the game rules that I have applied. So cold calls warrior. So the name, as I mentioned, it's all about the agents who are sitting in the organization and they are creating or they are just going ahead and making cold calls. So for that, I have defined a rule called as cold calls. So let me just open this rule. And here what we have said is I've just given the name to this rule and I've given a description. This rule will award 10 points on an outgoing phone call record, which is created by the CRM user. Now, if you notice, I stressed on the word outgoing because that is the business use case. Every time the user creates a record for a phone call entity, the direction might be incoming or an outgoing one. So I don't want for incoming phone call any points to be associated. I just want the points to be allocated or awarded only in case if it's an outgoing phone call. So what we have set over here is we have just set the entity name, which is a phone call, and the message would be like, the create one. And we have just said that the calculate points by 10. So every time it is going ahead, it will just add the 10 points to the user. Now, let me just go to the rule. Okay, so here I've just pre-populated. I've just went to my Gamifix 365 studio and hit on the new rule, and I've just mentioned a new rule. So for Power Community, I'm just creating this cold calls warrior. It's the same one, and I wanted to demonstrate this. I'll just try to recreate the same rule that we just witnessed. So what type of record is this? Now, since it will be used in a phone call, let me just hit that. Oh, this is a phone call, and I want select the event. So all the events that are associated with the phone call, we can select any of them depending upon the rule that you want to set. So let me say it on create. Which date should be used? So let me say I want it on the date which is created on. And the most important thing, who should get the score? So Gamifix 365 gives you the option of either selecting the created by or the modified by and so on, or even the owning user record. The calculate score by. Now we need to award the points. True. But which point should be awarded? So let's take a hypothetical example where there is a sales operation going on and it has a certain value that is associated. Let's say the budget value or maybe any other field which is a numeric value. So we may, if we want to add the score equivalent to the value of the field, we might select this and we have to, of course, we have to then select it over here. However, with phone call, I didn't get any actual field value. So I'll just go ahead and hit on fixed points and let me say 10. So on creating a phone call record entity, on creating a record of a phone call entity, 10 points should be awarded. However, we are missing an important criteria. The criteria was not just creating the phone call record in of record, but it was the phone call record should be in the outgoing direction. So for that, we can select over here as something called as advanced, and we can provide a fetch XML. So all we need to do is just go in the advanced find and get that fetch XML for the webinar. I have already copied it, which is the direction code, and the direction code is outgoing. So all I need to do is just I can just copy this, come back and paste it over here. That's it. That's all we need to do when we want to create a rule. And once I create this particular rule, so let's say I'm just creating this rule. So here is my rule. And now I can go back to my game. And under the game rules tab, I can just hit on new game rule. And I'll just select the rule which we have created right now. And everything will pop up. Let's hit on save and close. And not just a single rule, a game can be configured with multiple rules as well. So let's take a business use case. So if I want to make a phone call to a specific account, or to let's say a specific account of a specific city. So all we need to do is just go ahead. We can create a new game rule, use the advanced find, get the fetch XML, copy the fetch XML to the rule, and just add that rule right here. So the Gamifix 365, while awarding the points on a phone call, it will check for all the rules and the criteria of the rules that are being matched. Only that rule will be applied and the points can be given. And even to make it more interesting, the points can be different as well. So for example, if a normal phone call of an outgoing direction is made, allocate 10 points. However, the phone call has been made to, let's say, a city of New York, or to any XYZ city of your interest, then instead of 10 points, we can also award 15 points and so on. Sorry. Interesting, right? So let's go ahead and coming back to the rules. So as we can see over here, the rules which are very, very important. Not only that, so cold calls was the rule that was created by me initially, and I actually recreated the rules over here. Now that was a manual intervention. However, we have envisaged that this might be a requirement wherein we want to clone an existing rule. So never fear, the Gamifix 365 also takes care of that. So we can clone the rule, we can activate it, we can deactivate for a certain period if you don't intend to use that particular rule, and so on and so forth. Now, with that being said, let me go back to my games and let's hit on Cold Call Warriors. And let's see the next one, which is the players. So as you can see, we have three players who are actually currently playing Cold Calls Warrior game, and they have done pretty well as of this moment. So everyone has started gaining the points. So what I'll do is I'll also try to log in as Alex, and let me Okay, so I'll definitely take that in some time. So right now, if you observe, what I've done is I've logged in as Alex, who is one of the players, and let me go to my Sales Hub first, and I've just pre-filled the values that a phone call needs to be made. So let me just hit on save over here. So here, if you notice, I've made as a Alex, when I was logging in, I've made a call on a certain number, and I have ensured that I have followed the criteria, which was direction is outgoing. And with that, if I go back and let's give Gamifix 365 a couple of moments, because right now Alex has 120 points in his kitty. In few moments, I am expecting this 120 to be changed to 130. And I was looking at one of the questions as well. Here. So since I just created a record for a phone call entity, 10 points were awarded to me, taking my total points from 120 to 130. Now, it's not just about scoring the points. We also need to award the badges and rewards, right? So here I have already associated three badges for cold calls warrior game. Now, this badges are nothing but I have already created under the badges. I have already created four badges: the bronze, the silver, the gold, and the platinum. Right, and I have just used the bronze or all these active badges right here within my game. So what over here what we have configured is the silver badge should be associated once the user hits on 50. The gold should be awarded on 80 and platinum should be awarded on 100. Now, this is completely configurable. All you need to do is just go ahead and hit on the badges. And let's say, for example, for the demonstration purpose, I'm selecting it as bronze. And let's say I'm putting it as 20. All I need to do now is just hit on save and close. What happens would be we will be getting now, since the game is already in progress, I'm not able to add the badges, which makes logical sense, right? So we have all these badges, and we can also, one of the most important aspect would be we can also look into earn points. And when I say important, it means here we notice that Alex uh, has been awarded 10 points, but we also see the record URL because of which Alex has been associated or awarded 10 points. The last one would be the earned badges. Now this is where all the since we they have already achieved 100 and 130 points, we can see that all these users have been awarded some or the other badges as well. Now, with that, let me just go back to my user and let me show you how the user profile looks like. So as I've since I've let me just refresh this to be honest. Now, the moment I refresh this, you might notice that I have some one additional entry which we just created a phone call. Even that has been added in my activities and timeline. This activities and timeline basically gives you basically gives the user his current or today's activity. So whatever the points he's earning, all of them for today, all of them will be displayed over here. One of the best things that I am looking at is the user can create his own avatars. At a nutshell, he can also see how many points he has earned, which games he's part of, how many badges he has earned. Over here, he has all the records of the badges and for which game he has earned which badge. And the motivational factor is the badges to earn. So he's yet to earn the gold badge under the hunting lead games, the silver, the bronze, and so on. Also, at the bottom, it says that Alex is part of four games. So he's a part of Account Magnet, he's a part of Cold Calls, Hunting Lead, as well as the Lead Qualifier Championship. And it also gives in a nutshell at which position he is currently. So at the Lead Qualifier, he's at the second position. For Hunting Lead, he's at the first position, and we can see that under the leaderboards down here. Now, one of the important aspects of all these things when we started working on it was, will the user always come on this Gamifix 365, because we want him to be busy in under performing all the activities. So we also come up with a Canvas app that the user can actually use during as per his own convenience. So let me just, oops. So let me just show you how in a real time wherein I'm trying to mirror my mobile with how Alex would be looking at his application. Okay, please bear with me for a couple of moments. It should not take much time to, yeah, here it is. So since it's a power app itself, so let me just open the game. A beautiful interface awaits Alex at the top right. He can see his own profile, the games that he has played, the points he has earned, and the badges that he has earned. Right? Let me go back. He can also see for today what all points he has earned in which game, what number of points he has earned. He can also see a part of the games that he's playing. So he's actually going ahead for he's actually a part of four games. So let me just open the cold calls warrior. Let me just tap on the name of this game and it hits up with the game rules, the leaderboards, and the badges to earn. So you can see right now, Alex himself is leading the leaderboard. Harvey and Louis, to be more precise, they are very much near to Alex, and that is again a motivating factor, both for Alex as well as Harvey and Louis. Now, how that can be possible? Alex needs to maintain his lead, so he is going to perform more. Harvey and Lewis, they are aware that they are just a few inches away from that number one spot. And that's why even they are going to add on their efforts and try to be the leader on the leaderboards. They can also look at the game rules and the badges that can be earned at what points. So earning the badge on 50 points, the gold can be earned on 80 points, and the platinum can be earned on 100 points. We also have an interesting aspect with games. So it gives you a list of the games that can be that are already scheduled by the administrator, the live games as well as the games that are completed. And finally, we have the leaderboard wherein we can just select the games and it will just show the user where he's currently standing. So that's pretty much at about 1,000 feet level of what Gamifix has to offer. So let me just switch back to my presentation. Yes, so like I was saying, that's pretty much about what the 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 Gamifix 365 along with the Canvas app has to offer. Now, the Gamifix 365 is supported on the Microsoft Dynamics 365 version 9.0 onwards, and of course in the Dataverse. And the deployment model of Gamifix 365 is Dynamics 365 Online. Now, I'm sure by now you might be a little bit excited to get hands-on on this awesome solution. To do that, you can just hop on to www.inogic.com. That's www.inogic.com, and requesting you to download a fully functional 15 days trial. We would recommend you go ahead, download, install, and configure the solution and experience the power of gamification and its wonders that it does to the business. Now, before I go ahead for the FAQ, before I go for the Q&A session, let me just very briefly talk about the frequently asked questions about the Gamifix 365. So, the most common question: how will Gamifix 365 benefit the CRM users? Now, I think we discussed during the course of the demonstration, wherein how the Gamifix 365 encourages the engagement of the users with the dynamic CRM, with the help of the games and the activities. We also saw about the team bonding that can be achieved with the Gamifix 365. So honestly, tangible, intangible, all the benefits are associated of implementing Gamifix 365. Now, is Gamifix 365 compatible across devices? Definitely yes. I just demonstrated a small canvas app as well. Now, is there any limit to creating the games with Gamifix 365? Absolutely no. You can create as many number of games, and within each game, you can also create multiple game rules so that you can actually measure each and every user's contribution. What Microsoft Dynamics products do you support? We just now, when I mentioned, it was all about it's available on Dynamics 365 9.0 onwards, and of course in the Dataverse. Can one create customized games? Definitely yes, we can create customized games as per the business requirements. And finally, how to get started? Visit www.inogic.com, download a free trial, and enjoy the benefits of gamification. Now, having said that about Gamifix 365, one of the solutions in this within the same family of gamification would be user adoption monitor. Now, why do we say within the same family? Now, as of now, you might have seen how well the users can engage with the help of our Gamifix 365 tool. But once it has been implemented, now let's say the top management wants to track and monitor how well the users are actually adopting the system. Are they using the CRM system effectively? Let's be honest, the CRM system has a lot to offer. Are, as the users, are we using the CRM system effectively? If yes, what all activities the users are performing so that the benefits can be derived with the help of the CRM. Now, all this can be done. All the access tracking features are available in our user adoption monitor tool. Although there are a lot of lists which are key features of the user adoption monitor tool, let me just give you very briefly to monitor the CRM access of the team members by tracking various web activities performed by them. You can also track the CRM access date and the time of the users. However, to do that, you will need to enable the audit in the system auditing to track, and all these tracking can be then represented in the form of dashboards, having different charts, reports, and even the Power BI reports as per your requirement. The user adoption monitor is an extremely productive app that monitors and tracks the actions which are performed by the enabled users in the Dynamics CRM, Dynamics 365 CRM. It monitors both the common actions as well as special messages of end users, such as maybe create, read, qualify, lead, etc. Not only common messages, but also special messages like opportunity when incident has been closed and so on. Now, let me give you a simple example. Let's say uh, we all are familiar about how a standard sales process works, right? Let's say if any prospect shows interest in any of the product, the salesperson starts their own job and responsibilities. That is to get in touch with them, nurture those leads, and capture the necessary lead information in the system. Now, over here, let's say in this organization, the business process has been defined in such a way that until and unless the necessary lead information is not captured, the lead cannot be qualified to the next stage, which is basically an opportunity. So, in order to validate the completeness of the data, we have a feature called as data completeness. Now, what exactly it will do is that it will validate the completeness of the record, creating a couple of custom fields in the background, complete and incomplete. If the necessary fields are captured, it will mark the lead as complete, and now the lead can be qualified to the next stage. Not only it can validate the real-time validation of the records, but also you can validate the history of the records as well by simply creating an on-demand workflow. Also, in case if you want to know how long the user spends a time in a day, or let's say how much time he's spending in the CRM, in that case, we can just create a application login and log out. And the user needs to manually click on the login button, just like a punch in. And whenever the user is done for the day, he just needs to click on the logout button, just like a punch out. Similarly, if you also want to know how long the user has spent a time in a particular record, we also do have a feature called as check-in and checkout. So go ahead, check out the Gamifix 365 and the user adoption monitor, and I assure you that you won't be disappointed. With that, let me just go ahead for any questions that may have popped up. Can someone help me out with the questions, please?
Certainly. If you open
Yeah.
up the chat window,
Yeah,
you should be able to scroll. I think we've had a few
definitely.
coming in that have come in during your session. But yeah, if anyone has any others, just type them into the chat section.
Yeah. Will you show how to set up the clone action or a link to a tutorial? Uh, Definitely. I'll share the link to a particular tutorial. Let me just give a second. I've also got one more question. Is the usage based on the audit log? So in case of whether it's audit log, you definitely need to enable the audit in the system sorry, in the system auditing to track all the details. Can we configure multiple game rules for a same game? Yes, I just mentioned during the demonstration. Definitely, yes, we can configure multiple game rules, having multiple conditions, so that the points can be allocated as per the conditions. Since we have the time, let me just go back to.
Here's another one.
Yes.
Pretty has asked a question.
Yes, how the phone call table get populate if the call is done via mobile. Okay. So Uprati, to be honest, right now I'm rather than miscommunicating something, I would just request if you can just share your email address. I'll definitely look into this and I'll ensure that you get your answer. Uh, Another one, could you please explain the real-time example of Gamifix 365? So a real-time example would be any organization who has the users and they want to engage, they want to increase the user engagement with among the users with the Dynamics 365 CRM. That is the place where the Gamifix 365 is going to help us by creating multiple games and so on. So, Upriti, I have got your email ID. I'll ensure that I'll just I'll just email you the answer that you have been looking for. Thank you for that.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? I think we may have had some that came through during the actual session itself. So if you go up through the chat, and maybe other ones, let me have a look.
Yeah. So one of the question that was asked was about cloning of the rules. So I've just reshared my Okay, so let me show you about how the clones or how the rule can be cloned. It's quite easy once you are under the Gamifix 365 Studio. Let me just hit the three buttons, and here is where the clone rule comes into the picture. It's just going to it's basically saying that cloning the game rule will create a duplicate of the game rule with a copy added to the end of the name. I say yes, go ahead, let's do this. And here is your clone record. So now if I go ahead and I can view the rule, and this is where the everything which was present in the original rule has been now cloned with the with the copy. So of course we can go ahead and edit the name and then save it. Perfect. Can we say that to increase the sales we can use Gamifix 365? First of all, it's Gamifix 365 can be definitely used to engage the sales representatives who are working within the organization. If they get motivated, definitely it's going to impact the operations which they are performing, that is inevitably the sales. And it's not just about only the sales, it can be also used for handling the cases, for example. So if any case has been created, and if you want to motivate the users to close the cases, and we can award the badges and rewards to the agent who is closing more and more cases, even there the Gamifix 365 can be of a huge help. Also, we generally try to convey this every act, every event that you want to improvise and motivate and engage the users. Gamifix 365 is your answer. Okay, so I have one more thing. Let me just stop my screen share for a minute. Is Gamifix 365 like a goal setting for each user so that they involve more in the process to accomplish their goal? Perfectly said. So yes, so Gamifix 365 is like a goal setting definitely for each user so that their involvement increases. And once they start involving more and more with the system, automatically the end result is achieved.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions? All right,
Perfect.
I
So
think that's, sorry?
no. No, I was just saying about the same thing. It sounds perfect right now. I don't I'm not getting the questions, but I'm pretty sure in case if you go ahead, make a download from our website, get your hands on, and probably at that point, if you have any questions, just drop in an email to crm@inogic.com, and we'll be very happy to take it forward from there as well.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, we've got 5 minutes left
Yes.
until the next session, which is Cranky. Trying to give, I believe Cranty's in the chat, just trying to give him the presenter status. Okay, Kranti, are you there?
Yeah, hi, Sierra. Yes, I'm in.
Oh, good.
Thank you very much. So the next session will start in 5 minutes time with Granthi. Also, let's just check the chat for any questions. So there's still some questions coming through in the chat.
Yes. SK, I would again request you to share the email address as well. More on a technical side, wherein the differences between the BPF, I'll ensure that I'll mail the answers to you.
So do you have like a form that SK can submit his information to? Oh, there you go. He shared his email. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Raz, we also have, you can, anyone who, if he wants to put in any question, they can go to our website, and we also have a inquiry and other forms where he can put in the question, and we'll be ensuring that he or she gets the answer for that.
Yeah, it's just so that it's just so that they don't want to share their personal email
Definitely.
publicly. So that would be great. And there's also a chance to win the Power Apps cookbook as well. Yeah, so we've already got one winner for the Power Apps cookbook today. And Natalia it was. So I don't know if there's any more from today, Kira, where Kira will let us know if there's any winners. Still a chance to win the Power Apps cookbook or the PCF developer guide. So once again, thank you. Thank you for your session on gamification with Power Apps and Dynamics 365.
Thank you, Raz. Thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. Okay, so now we are getting to the next session. We'll be introducing Kranthi.